ODUG and not using integrated security. Now, this thing called the object qualifier, there's a database owner and an object qualifier, and these are used in particularly in a hosting environment when your host may have a single installation of .NET and a single database, and they're running multiple websites out of it. Each website has to have an object qualifier or a unique string at the front of it to differentiate between the users table for one website and the users table for another website. So this idea of object qualifier is used typically in a shared hosting environment. All right, so I've got all the things, and I can test my database connection. And I should see a green screen come back telling me that I typed in my password correctly. My connection's going to work. So typically in a single instance install like this with its own database, you don't mess with the object qualifier.
I've seen like some practices that they changed, like put a prefix on the cookie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
You can edit the web config file to change your cookie.
Exactly, yeah. Through there.
I usually set the cookie to a unique string.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I usually do that. I don't usually demo that in the in an installation demo, but you can actually make a lot of customizations to the way your installation comes out. Okay, so while we wait for it to create the basics of the database, all right, so now it's actually going to install some scripts. So what they did early on in .NET is they did first script, and then every version had another script after it. So it used to be when you installed .NET, you'd see it execute 30 or 40 or 60 scripts or something. And that was really horrible because the sins of the past were compounded. Whenever somebody screwed up their script file, it ended up making your system a bit unstable. So now they've kind of created a checkpoint at DNN 5, and there's a brand new, from scratch script installer for DNN 5. Okay, so we've got the basic installation done. What we're going to do is a little bit of configuration now. There's a host user, and this is the user who controls the installation of .NET Nuke. And then each portal has an admin user. So there's one host and many admins. Now you can specify other accounts as being host accounts too, but we're going to go over all that stuff today. So I'm just going to leave it as host. Just has to look like an email address. And we're not going to set up SMTP today for email. So this is the admin for this portal. Now, the only template available here is .NET, but you can create your own templates and create an install package and actually have, like your customers come up with a skin and content already installed in the portal. If you're building websites for people, that's a very common way of delivering the final product, is to give them a template. And you just modify the web config file and point at your template, and it'll actually it goes into a directory in the installation. And the template is basically a huge XML file. So there's only one that comes in the out of the box installer though, and that's the .NET template. Okay. So you have successfully installed .NET. It didn't ask us what modules we wanted or what skins we wanted or anything like that because I took the typical install, and it installs the standard set of things. So when I say go to site, it'll munge around for a while here. This gives me something to do. Look at the CPU trace. It'll munge for a few minutes and then it'll not a few minutes, but actually comes up pretty quick now. It used to take a really long time between those steps, but now it actually comes up pretty fast. So this is the out-of-the-box .NET 5 skin and new website look, and it's pretty reasonable, I think. So basically that's what an install is. And did anybody have any questions about a DNN install? Okay, pretty straightforward when you watch somebody do it. A little harder when you get back to doing it yourself. You're like, So when I log in now, I want you to notice a couple things. Right now we've got one page on the site, and it's here on the menu bar, and it's called Home. When I log in, I'm going to log in as the host user. In order to install modules into a .NET installation, you have to log in as the host user. Now it's telling me that I have insecure account details because I use the old default DNN host password, which is a DNN host. And don't use that password on any site that's publicly accessible because your site will be owned at about that fast. People always try that password first. All right, so you see what's happened is that we've got two more menu items now with a whole bunch of pages underneath these menus. All right, so this is the idea of role-based security. All right, now that I've logged in a role, I happen to be the host role, so I can do everything. I have edit icons on everything on the page, so we can see that this is a portal. The installation itself is a .NET portal. This is a page that we're looking at, and then these are modules. This Welcome to .NET is a module. It's probably a text HTML module. Down here are, well, that's actually part of that same module. Yeah, it's a text module.
I think they're all text modules now.
Is it? Yeah. So each of these things, yeah, in fact, they're all, you can see it says edit text, and that's what keys you off that it's a text module. It would say edit announcement or edit media or something like that if it was a different sort of module. So these are modules that actually have some sort of functionality. In this case, they just happen to be plain HTML modules. And you can edit these things typically by either clicking that edit text, or this icon here is the settings for the module, or very often there's a drop-down menu here that has an edit text item on it too. So while I'm here, I just want to point out that this is the edit menu that I'll be talking about in a little while when we talk about module development. All right, these menu items get put here. You have control over what gets put here as a module developer. If I'm on the edit text, I pop into an online rich text editing module. It's funny how your links are all broken into the images in the editor, but I can go into source mode and actually look at the HTML behind it if I want to, and that sort of thing. So my point is not to really do any work here, but just to give you a quick idea what's here. So underneath admin, you manage your site. There's a bunch of site settings. There's the pages on your site. Extensions are the new name that they have in .NET 5 for modules and skins and providers and things like that. You set your roles in your accounts up here, your user accounts. Vendor is for like banner advertising. Site log is a way to look at the statistics of your site, look at the who's been visiting and what refers to all that kind of stuff. Newsletters is how you send newsletters out from a site, obviously. The file manager is a nice Ajax-based file manager interface and so on. Okay. And then the host menu is equally as long, but it's things that are related to managing the installation of .NET itself. So here you're talking about the settings for the host itself, for the portals that are inside that host. Module definitions is what we're going to look at right now. You have your own file manager as the host. There's two different directory structures. Here you can change the languages. You can manage the search interface to .NET and so on. So the reason I'm here is that I want to install a module. So I can either go to module definitions or I can go to the new extensions page at the bottom. Interesting that they use the same exact icon. I guess they're eventually probably going to deprecate the module definitions and they'll get rid of that page and they'll just use extensions. But one of the challenges we had when we were writing the book, this is an aside, is that things kept changing right up to the end. And in fact, we didn't see the dashboard item on the menu. It wasn't there through the last RC. It appeared in the release. So the dashboard is not covered in the book because it wasn't there when we wrote the book. This was one of the challenges we had is that they kept changing stuff right to the end. And it's just, the dashboard is actually kind of a neat, let me look at it. All right, so we'll look at one DNN 5 new thing here. It is kind of cool. It's if you go look at Joe Brinkman's blog, he's got a blog post about how you customize the dashboard, which is pretty cool. You can actually go in there and modify. But this just take the example dashboard that they've created. Gives you, these are the sections that are on this page, and basically gives you a bunch of information about the installation of your site. So you can see